Hare Krishna. We'll start with Jai Radha Madhava. Can you hear me? Sujata Mataji, can you hear me?
Yes, Mataji, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Gauranita Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jai Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ashta Sakis ki Jai Radha Shyam Sundar Lalita Vishakha ki Jai Gaur Nitai ki Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
We're reading from Bhagavad Gita chapter 10 verse 10. This is a very important verse. Please repeat after me. Tesham satata yuktanam
Tesham Shatata Yuktanam
bhajatam priti purvakam
Rajatam Priti Purvatam
dadame buddhi yogam tam
Tadami Buddhi Yogantam
yena mam upayanti te
Ye Mamaram Amtite
tesham satata yuktanam
Tesham Shatati Yuktanam
bhajatam priti purvakam
Bhajatam Priti Purvakam
dadame buddhi yogam tam
Tadami Buddhi Yogantam
yena mam upayanti te.
Ye Nama Upadhyantite.
Can you see the screen now?
Yes, yeah, but it's a very small font. Can you bring a little bit bigger?
Okay, okay. Let's see. Trying, but it's not increasing. Plus, plus. Okay. Is this better now?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. Tesham satata yuktanam
Tesham Shatata Yaktanam
bhajatam priti purvakam
Bhajatam Priti Purvakam
dadame buddhi yogam tam
Dadami Buddhi Yagamtam
yena mam upayanti te.
Ye Namam Upayantite.
Would you like to chant, Mataji?
Sure. Tesham Shatata Yaktanam
Tesham satatayuktanam
Bhajatam Priti Purvakam
bhajatam pritipurvakam
Dadami Buddhi Yagam Tam
dadami buddhiyogam tam
Yena Mam Upayanti Te.
yena mamupayanti te. Anyone else?
Tesham satata yuktanam
Tesham
Tesham Shatata
satatayuktanam
Yaktanam
bhaktam priti purva bhajatam priti purvakam
bhajatam
Brajatam Priti
pritipurvakam
Purvakam
dadami buddhi yogam tam
dadami
Dadami Buddhi
buddhiyogam
Yagam
tam
Tam
yena mamupayanti te.
yena
Yena Mam
mamupayanti
Upayanti
te.
Te.
तेषां सततयुक्तानां
Tesham
Tesham
Shatata
satatayuktanam
Yaktanam
भजतां प्रीतिपूर्वकं
Bhajatam
bhajatam
Priti
pritipurvakam
Purvakam
ददामि बुद्धियोगं तं
Dadami
dadami
Buddhi Yagam
buddhiyogam
Tam
येन मामुपयान्ति ते
Yena
yena
Mam Upayanti Te.
mamupayanti
तेषां सततं युक्तानां
Tesham
Tesham
Shatata Yaktanam
satatayuktanam
भजतां प्रीतिपूर्वकं
Bhajatam
bhajatam
Priti
pritipurvakam
Purvakam
ददामि बुद्धियोगं तं
Dadami
dadami
Buddhi Yagam
buddhiyogam
Tam
येन मम उपयन्ति ते
Yena
yena
Mama Upayanti
mamupayanti.
Te.
Okay. Synonyms: Tesham,
Tesham
unto them,
unto them
satatayuktanam,
Shatata Yaktanam
सततयुक्तानां
always engaged,
always
always
engaged
engaged
bhajatam,
Bhajatam
भजतां
in rendering devotional service,
in rendering
in
devotional
rendering devotional
service
service
Priti Purvakam,
Priti Purvakam
प्रीतिपूर्वकं
in loving ecstasy,
in
in
loving
loving
ecstasy
ecstasy
Dadami,
Dadami
ददामि
I give,
I
I
give
give
Buddhi Yogam,
Buddhi Yogam
बुद्धियोगं
real intelligence,
real
real
intelligence
intelligence
Tam,
Tam
तं
that,
that
that
Yena,
Yena
येन
by which,
by
by
which
which
Mam,
Mam
माम्
unto me,
unto me
unto me
Upayanti,
upayanti
Upayanti
come,
come
come
they,
they
te
they.
they
de.
To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anyone would like to read the purport?
Mataji, I can read.
Okay.
Okay. In this verse, the word Buddhi Yagam is very significant. We may remember that in the second chapter, the Lord, instructing Arjuna, said that he had spoken to him of many things and that he would instruct him in the way of Buddhi Yoga. Now, Buddhi Yoga is explained. Buddhi Yoga itself is action in Krishna consciousness. That is the highest intelligence. Buddhi means intelligence and yoga means mystic activities or mystic elevation. When one tries to go back home, back to Godhead, and takes fully to Krishna consciousness in devotional service, his action is called Buddhi Yoga. In other words, Buddhi Yoga is the process by which one gets out of the entanglement of this material world, the ultimate goal of progress in Krishna. People do not know this. Therefore, the association of devotees and a bona fide spiritual master are important. One should know that the goal is Krishna, and when the goal is assigned, then the path is slowly but progressively traversed, and the ultimate goal is achieved. When a person knows the goal of life but is addicted to the fruits of activities, he is acting in karma yoga. When he knows that the goal is Krishna but he takes pleasure in mental speculations to understand Krishna. He is acting in Jnana Yoga. And when he knows the goal and seeks Krishna completely in Krishna consciousness and devotional service, he is acting in Bhakti Yoga or Buddhi Yoga, which is the complete yoga. This complete yoga is the highest perfectional stage of life.
A person may have a bona fide spiritual master and may be attached to a spiritual organization. But if he is still not intelligent enough to make progress, then Krishna from within gives him instructions so that he may ultimately come to him without difficulty. The qualification is that a person always engage himself in Krishna consciousness and with love and devotion render all kinds of services. He should perform some sort of work for Krishna, and that work should be with love. If a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self-realization, but is sincere and devoted to the activities of devotional service, the Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately attain to him.
Thank you. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Can you all see my PowerPoint?
We can just see Bhagavad Gita 10.10, but we cannot see the PowerPoint.
Okay, that's the first slide.
Okay.
You can see now?
Yeah.
Okay. So in this verse, Srila Prabhupada gives a lot of important details. So the translation is, whoever worships Krishna, whoever is always engaged in rendering devotional service in loving ecstasy, Krishna gives the real intelligence to them, with which they can come to him. So the first word is Tesham, which means unto them. Satata Yuktanam, always engaged. So there is this one incident Radhanath Swami mentions in one of his lectures, that, in New Vrindavan, there were many devotees at one point of time. And Prabhupada used to visit there often. And once Prabhupada visits, and then this one devotee, he asks Srila Prabhupada that what is the need of taking a guru? Krishna is in everyone's heart, and Krishna is going to communicate with that devotee or anybody, any person. Krishna is in the heart. What is the need of having a guru? So in this verse, it is mentioned that he gives the knowledge to those who are always engaged in his loving devotional service. It's not some part of the day. It's 24 hours a day. So Prabhupada looks at him and he tells, so you could, it's actually a devotee who was questioned by someone else with this question, and the devotee didn't know the answer. So he looks at him with compassion and he looks very gravely and he asks, so you could not answer his question? So the answer is in this verse. So one who is 24 hours engaged in Krishna's service, somehow or the other, with the 9 processes of devotion, even remembering about Krishna is a service, is engaged, being engaged in service. So if we can do that 24 hours a day, that's when Krishna communicates with us. That's when we can understand Krishna speaking to us. He's there in everyone's heart. Sometimes in dire necessities, if we are going somewhere and we have no maps and we don't know where to go, we get the instinct on which direction should we go. That's Krishna from within the heart. But he won't be talking to them, giving them intelligence all the time. He won't be giving them buddhi yoga if they are not constantly engaged in the service of the Lord. So for such people, for people like us who are not 24 hours engaged, Krishna cannot speak directly to us. So for such people, there is Guru. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Because the Guru has seen the truth, he can impart knowledge unto us. He can guide us. He can be there for our questions and he can tell us how to live our life so that we can progressively come to the platform of Satata Yuktanam. So Srila Prabhupada was such a devotee who was engaged 24 hours a day in Krishna's service. He was always thinking of Krishna. One time, somebody asked Srila Prabhupada, do you always think about Krishna? Or I forgot the question, but he asks them to put their ear on his back, and that devotee could hear the Mahamantra from the body of Srila Prabhupada. So that's how much he was constantly engaged. That's how much he thought of Krishna. That's how much he chanted within his heart and mind. So this is the quality of a devotee that Krishna is talking in this verse. And Krishna becomes the property of such devotees. Krishna tells that I am in the hearts of my pure devotees and my pure devotees are in my hearts. I don't know anything else other than them and they don't know anything else other than me. So this is the kind of relationship Krishna has with such devotees. And if we serve such devotees, then Krishna will be pleased with us. That becomes Krishna's service also when we serve pure devotees. That becomes Krishna's service also, because the pure devotees, Krishna is the property of pure devotees. Even Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he prays, Dhai tava pache pache. Krishna se tumhara, Krishna dit paro, Dhai tava pache pache. So Krishna is your property. You can give Krishna to me. That's why I'm running behind you. So this is our mood, that we take shelter of such devotees who are always engaged in Krishna's service, and we try to render service to them. And from that, we can get the understanding. We can get the understanding by which we can go to Krishna. But if we are on the platform of Satata Yuktanam, then Krishna can speak to us directly. And then the second thing that is mentioned here in this verse is Bhajatam Priti Purvakam. So we cannot, think of Krishna in an unfavorable way. Like Kamsa was thinking of Krishna all the time. Whatever he did, he always had Krishna in his mind, but not in the mood of Priti, not in the mood of loving relationship. It was in the mood of fear. It was in the mood of enmity. So the destination of such people is not the same as devotees who engage in loving service, who with great affinity serve Krishna, who with great affinity they think of Krishna. How can I please Krishna? What makes Krishna happy? So that kind of mood is what is required. And if we have that kind of mood always, that's when Krishna will reciprocate with us. To those people, Krishna will give Buddhi Yoga. Dadami Buddhi Yogam tam. So in this verse, the important word is Buddhi Yoga. So Krishna is not saying he'll give Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga or Hatha Yoga. He's giving Buddhi Yoga to people who constantly engage in his service. So sometimes it may so happen that devotees may not be very intelligent, but it could be that that devotee is very sincere. To such a devotee, even though he may not be intelligent, Krishna gives the knowledge from within the heart on how he can engage in devotional service. So I have this picture of Vrindavan temple. It's so beautifully designed by devotees, and Krishna gives the intelligence with which they can do all these things. At one point of time, Prabhupada hears about another temple, how the Simhadwar, the entrance, was built, and he was really impressed. And that's when he quotes this verse also, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. So he gives the understanding, he gives the intelligence with which we can even serve him. And even book distributors, they probably have a lot of experiences. When we go out and distribute books, try to distribute books, we may encounter many different arguments, many different questions. At that particular time, how we should answer those questions, we don't know. If we are not that scholarly, also Krishna gives from within the heart the answer. Later on, we may wonder, how did I remember it at that time? How was I able to answer that person's question? That's Krishna. Krishna gives the buddhi. Krishna gives the intelligence with which we can engage in his service. So there is one book, I'm not sure if you all are familiar with it. It's called Salted Bread. Have you all heard of that book? Salted Bread?
No, I haven't.
You haven't? Yeah, Salted Bread. It's a book on two Russian devotees. They both are dear friends. They both became devotees at the same time. You know how when it was USSR, when it was Soviet Union, everything was very restricted. So practicing any religion was prohibited. So they used to practice very secretly, preach very secretly. And these two devotees, their names were Sako and Gago before they became devotees. And then after they got initiated, their names were like Sarva Bhavana Das and Sachi Sutta Das. So this book was a story of their life. So once what happens is Russian KGB, they found out about this group of devotees. And then they come and arrest them. They put them in concentration camps and they torture them in all different ways. There is no vegetarian food to eat except this bread. And even that was like 1 or 2 slices, which is really old. That's what they used to get. And they used to put them through many difficulties, like, mentally harassing them, trying to deprogram. Have you heard of that word? Even in America, when Srila Prabhupada was there, some rich people whose sons and daughters who became devotees, they used this method of deprogramming them. So it's a kind of method to make you forget what you have been doing. So they tried several different ways, electric shock, deprogramming, and all those things. Very difficult to live in those prisons. They used to beat them up, and all those things were happening. And these two devotees, they didn't have their beads to chant on, so they used to chant on those on their fingers. But then eventually what they did is, with this bread with salt, with that bread they made their beads. Imagine, like, they didn't even have enough food, but they wanted to make their chanting beads with their food that was given. So they made those chanting beads and they used to chant on those beads. So one of the friends, Sako, Sachisuta Das, he contracted tuberculosis in the prison because of lack of food and lack of hygiene and all the torture and everything. So his condition was getting worse and worse day by day, and eventually a day came where he passed away, and no one knew how he passed away. Like, no details about what happened before he passed away or anything. Eventually, there was pressure from all the different countries, and they released the devotees from the concentration camps, and the USSR kind of got dismantled, and there was a little bit more freedom. Even now there are a lot of restrictions in those countries, but better than before. So they were distributing books or doing harinam, some preaching activity they were doing outside. And one day, one person, he comes and tells, my prison mate was one of you guys. And he used to every day sit down and he used to chant on these beads that he made from the bed. And one day I woke up, and he was sitting down. He had this bed sheet wrapped around him, like he didn't have any dhoti, but then he got the intelligence to make the bed sheet into his dhoti. And then he used the toothpaste to put all these tilaks everywhere, and he was chanting, and I was trying to talk to him, and he was just not opening his eyes, and I moved him and he just fell down. So he left his body like that. He knew that he was going to leave his body, and he used this bed sheet as the dhoti, and then he used the toothpaste to put all these tilaks, and on his beads he was chanting with utmost attention, closed eyes and everything. That's how he left his body. So this is one great example of how Krishna gives the intelligence even in the most difficult situations for a sincere devotee. I don't think he had the books available to him. I don't think he had any guidance available to him for many, many months and years. But still, because he's sincere, even though nobody was around at the time of his death, Krishna gave him the intelligence how he can go to him. He definitely would have gone back to Krishna. So this is one example I thought on how Krishna is there for sincere devotees. From within the heart, he gives the intelligence. So this whole concept of Buddhi Yoga is explained in second chapter. So when Krishna starts speaking in second chapter, he explains about different things like soul, what are the properties of soul, how it is indestructible, and all that. After explaining all this analytical study, he also persuades Arjuna to fight. He gives various reasons why Arjuna should fight. And then he says that now I'll explain you how to work without fruitive results. So when you act in such a way, then you don't have any bondage. So he gives different characteristics of Buddhi Yoga. There is no loss or diminution, like whatever little bit we can do on Buddhi Yoga, it stays forever. And there is no fear of gliding down into animal species. And people who are engaged in Buddhi Yoga, their purpose is very fixed. They're resolute in their determination. They don't go here and there, this process, that process, and all that. They know this is the process and they're firmly fixed on this process. In general, people, they're very attached to fruitive activities. So for that reason, they get attracted by all these different Vedic rituals, all the flowery words of the Vedas. They want good birth, they want heavenly planets, and all these, sense gratificatory, opulent life, and all these things they want. They can't think beyond those, such people. So if people are very attached to sense gratification and material opulence, they cannot come to this resolute determination, like people who are convinced of Buddhi Yoga, how they are resolute. These other people, they cannot be so resolute. And Vedas, they cater to such people. And then Krishna tells that even when we are performing our regular duties, we should not claim the fruits of our activities, because we are not the cause of fruits. We are not the cause of the results. At the same time, we should not avoid doing our duty. If we are not the cause, then we may think, if I'm not the enjoyer of the fruits, why should I even bother to work? But that's not Buddhi Yoga. Buddhi Yoga is you perform your duty without attachment to the results, without attachment to success or failure also. You may not claim the result, but you may be attached to being successful, which I can identify with. So we should not even be attached to whether we are successful or not successful. We should just do the duty that Krishna has given us. So this kind of yoga is called Buddhi Yoga. It is synonymous to Bhakti Yoga also. Devotional service is the same as Buddhi Yoga. When someone is engaged in devotional service, they don't have any karma. They can free themselves from all these bondage, from all the karma, and they are the only ones who can get rid of the cycle of birth and death. They are the only ones who can go back to Godhead. So these people, they're not in ignorance anymore. Their intelligence, it has passed through this dense forest of delusion. And they don't care what other people say, even if others, kind of try to make them attracted to different things. It doesn't really get into their consciousness, because they are resolute in their purpose. They're not going to deviate here and there. So this is what Krishna tells. And then Arjuna asks, what are the symptoms of these people who are fixed in Buddhi Yoga, who are, situated firmly? And how does he sit? How does he walk? How does he talk? Then Krishna tells, they gave up all desire for all varieties of sense gratification, and they find satisfaction in the self alone. Such people are pure in their consciousness. And he is not disturbed even when there are threefold miseries, and he is not elated when there is a lot of happiness. He's free from attachment, fear, and anger. That person is steady in his mind. Sometimes people praise us, sometimes people despise us. Even in those moments, they're fixed. They're not, elated when someone praises. They're not unhappy when someone despises. They are firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. And when there are sense objects, agitating sense objects, they don't get agitated. They're like tortoise. They can pull their senses in and be fixed in themselves in Krishna's service. They have the higher taste. That's why they can be so fixed up. So these senses are very strong. They can carry anybody, but not such a person, but not a person who's fixed in steady intelligence, who's fixed in Buddhi Yoga. And then Krishna explains different things, like how contemplating on the object of senses, one can develop attachment, and from attachment, lust comes. When that lust is unfulfilled, anger arises. When we become angry, we become deluded. We really can't see the reality as reality. And the intelligence is lost, and then we fall down again into the material pool. But a person who's free from all attachment and aversion, he can control his senses through regulative principles. Here, Prabhupada uses the word regulative principles of freedom. He can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. So that person, he's satisfied in Krishna consciousness. For him, no more miseries, no more threefold miseries. He's satisfied in his consciousness, and his intelligence is well established. So these are the explanations he gives. He's not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that come in, just like, an ocean is not disturbed by all the rivers that join the ocean. He doesn't try to fulfill all those desires which may come. They are just like waves in the ocean, they come and go. He gave up all desires for sense gratification, and he doesn't have any sense of proprietorship. This is mine. I must be the lord of it. Everyone should listen to me. All these things don't exist in him. He doesn't have any false ego. He doesn't get disturbed. He has the real peace. In this way, the spiritual and godly person, he's not bewildered. So even at the hour of death, it's such an agitating moment, but he's not agitated even at that moment. That kind of person can enter into the kingdom of God. So this is the explanation of Buddhi Yoga that is given in chapter 2. So that kind of intelligence is what Krishna gives. He doesn't give the intelligence that Hiranyakashipu might have. Hiranyakashipu has the intelligence with which he can lord over the three worlds. But all the three worlds are still material. He doesn't have the intelligence to go back to the spiritual world. He's very intelligent, but the whole intelligence is all material. That's not what Krishna gives to people who serve him always, lovingly. To them, he gives this intelligence, the Buddhi Yoga with which we can remain undisturbed, the Buddhi with which we can, be peaceful, and with which we can constantly meditate on him, with which we can be resolute. So these are the gifts of Krishna that are given. Sometimes no one may even notice the gifts that a devotee is receiving as a result of his sincere service. It could be all internal. Just the ability to be constantly engaged and to be not disturbed, that itself is a great gift from Krishna. It may not be anything material that anyone else may see. So this advancement in the consciousness is the highest gift that Krishna can give. And with that advancement, one can go back to Krishna. One can attain Krishna. And that is the real accomplishment. Even if a person may seem like a loser outside, it doesn't matter. If he can go back to Godhead at the end of his life, that is real success. So for devotees, Krishna is attainable. No matter what we do, Bhakti Yoga is the only means by which Krishna can be known. Bhaktya mam abhijanati, he says. So only by Bhakti Yoga, Krishna can be known. So one time there is this conversation, Srila Prabhupada's conversation with his disciples and one other visitor. So Rameshwar Prabhu, he asks Srila Prabhupada, it's difficult for people to understand that God can speak to a man. They question, how can God speak to some man? So Prabhupada is saying, that is anything that the radio message is coming. A foolish man cannot understand how it is coming. He will think, how it is that speaking? So any foolish man will be astonished how things are happening. That is foolishness. But God says, find out this verse. Harishauri 4:3. Sa evayam maya tedya. Bhagavad Gita 4:3. Prabhupada. No. Buddhi yogam dadamitam. Yena mam upayanti te. Rameshwara says, Tesham satata yuktanam. 10:10. Prabhupada. Tesham satata yuktanam. Bhajatam priti purvakam. BG 10:10. Harishauri, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena Mamupayantite. Prabhupada is saying, yes. Harishauri, to those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give them the understanding by which they can come to me. Prabhupada, God is situated in everyone's heart. As soon as he sees that here is a qualified person, then he gives him instruction. So this is the conversation between disciples and Prabhupada, and then another person, Kevin Lehart, he was there. So, he's saying, but in the same way that Krishna says he will provide for all your needs, you still must work to achieve whatever Krishna is giving you. So Prabhupada is saying, yes, you work for Krishna. You have to work to get your necessities. Kevin Lehart. In the same way, I'm curious with respect to the way Krishna communicates with you, whether it's in a similar kind of way that he gives you your necessities. Balimardan. In other words, when you decide that someone is to be in charge of a particular temple, does Krishna tell you that this person should be in charge? Kevin Lehart. Or do you, by judging him, say this person is qualified? So now Prabhupada is answering. They are asking, if you want to decide who's going to be in charge of a temple, does Krishna tell you? Or do you decide? Prabhupada is saying, yes, because a devotee always consults Krishna and he gives order. Krishna, he in capital, Krishna gives order. So Kevin Lehart, it's a more direct communication. Prabhupada says, yes, and he gives order. Rameshwar, because intelligence, our philosophy is that intelligence comes from Krishna. So if I have some, and Kevin stops him and he speaks, and your philosophy is that your daily necessities come from Krishna as well. Rameshwara is saying, yes, try to understand. Suppose my intelligence sees that this person is qualified. That means that Krishna has told me. But Prabhupada is saying, no, not necessarily. Krishna will tell directly. A devotee always consults Krishna and Krishna tells him, do like this, not figuratively, practically. This is what Prabhupada is experiencing. Krishna is telling him practically, do like this. Kevin Lehart, does that apply then to other kinds of decisions and other kinds of activities as well? Prabhupada, everything. Because a devotee does not do anything without consulting Krishna. This is Prabhupada's consciousness and relationship with Krishna. He's saying everything. He consults Krishna for everything and Krishna reciprocates. Krishna tells him. So Balimardan, but that applies to a very greatly elevated soul. That is not an ordinary person. Then Prabhupada is saying, that is, therefore, the minor devotees, they consult the spiritual masters. That is our process. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasada. Rameshwara, I see. I was trying to explain the minor devotees. Now Kevin Lehart is saying, no, I was talking about, and Rameshwar interrupts, you're talking about the topmost level. Kevin Lehart, yes. Balimardan, he is getting right to the source, laughter, right to the top. Kevin Lehart, that will do it for me. I thank you kindly. Balimardan Jai. Rameshwara, thank you, Prabhupada. So this is direct account of how Prabhupada used to talk to Krishna. So Krishna gives the intelligence to devotees like Srila Prabhupada, even their daily dealings, they get the direct practical instruction from Krishna. To such devotees, Krishna gives all instructions to come back to him eventually. So I'll stop here. 7:44. Thank you. Any questions, comments?
Okay, I was gonna say, is there some other commentary that you had said that's in chapter 2, also in chapter 6 of the Gita as well?
About Buddhi Yoga?
Yeah, if I remember correctly. Or maybe chapter 5, I can't remember. It's, I was listening to it about
Yeah, possible.
about the senses and stuff. I remember hearing that. And I'm thinking too.
Yeah, in
And-
6th chapter, he talks about controlling the mind mostly.
Okay.
And what happens if someone cannot complete the process and dhyana yoga process. He talks about that. Does talk about controlling the mind.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. Any other comments or questions? I hope that Prabhupada's conversation was, you all were able to understand the way I read. Was it okay?
Yes, it was.
Okay, thank you. So Gopi, you have a question?
I was just going to respond to the question where you said if the transcription was okay.
Okay. Okay, if no other questions or comments are there, we'll stop here. Thank you all so much for your association. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha.
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय श्री राधे की जय श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय हर ग्रेस सुंदरी राधिका माता जी की जय
Sudevi Priya Mataji ki jai. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
कृष्ण
Hare Krishna.